Hi, this is Wing. In today's video, we will be looking at Napic's property market report for the first half of 2021. Now, this is the OPR decision. So if you can see, OPR has remained at the level of 1.75 since 10 September 2020. Now, this is the loan application and loan approval for the purchase of residential property. So if you can see in the first half of 2021, there were close to 180 billion loan application for residential property. There were 63.25 billion loan approved, and if you look at it, the approval rate is at 35.3. Now, what is significant of this number is if you looked at the loan application for the first half for the last 10 years, the first half of 2021, 180 billion was the highest for first half of the year in the past 10 years. 180 billion 2021 was the highest. Loan approved 63 billion, if you see for the past 10 years, is also the highest. Now, however, of course, the approval rate of 35.3 is one of the lowest for the past 10 years. Okay, but having said that, if you see the loan application remains very strong for first half of 2021. This is the Malaysia property market transaction. Okay, we look at the volume of transaction. There is 139,000 transactions in the first half of 2021, worth a value of 62 billion. If you look at the number of transactions, 65.8%, which is the 92,000 transactions were in the residential market, followed by 18.9% or equivalent to 26,000 transactions in agriculture, and followed by 7.5, 5.9, 1.8 in commercial, development land, and also in industrial. Now, in terms of value, the biggest segment is still residential at 34.51 billion, 55.6% of the total value, followed by commercial 10.93 billion, which is 17.6%, followed by 10.4% in industrial, 8.9% in agriculture, and 7.4% in development land. So if you compare it, the first half of the year from 2017 to 2021, so if you see 2020 and 2021, there is a significant growth. You can see the number of transactions grew from 115,000 to 139,000, resulting in 21% growth in terms of transaction. Now, if you look at the value of transaction, if you compare 2020 to 2021, there is a 32.1% increase. 2020 was 46 billion, 2021 was 62 billion. So there is a significant increase of 32.1%. If you look at the past 5 years, we are almost back to where we were in 2017 to 2019. Now, if we move on, if you look at the transaction based on region, so if you can see central region, southern region, northern, east coast, East Malaysia. So if you can see based on the first half of 2020 and 2021, you can see that there is an increase in the number of transactions across the whole Malaysia, with the greatest increase in volume in East Malaysia, 35.4%, followed by central region at 33.9%. Now, what about in terms of price point? Now, this is in terms of price point. If you can see across the different price point, below 300,000 to above 1 million, we also see increase in transaction across all the different price point, with the highest increment in terms of transaction is for those above 1 million, where it grew by 38.4%, followed by 300 to 500,000 grew by 35.9%, followed closely by 500,000 to 1 million, which grew by 35.3%. Overall, if you look at this chart, there is growth across the whole country and also across all the different price points. Residential and commercial transaction by price range. Now, if you look at residential, across the price range, we see increment in terms of transactions across all the different price points. The greatest increase in terms of transaction is for residential segment is those above 1 million, where you can see that there is a 59.7% growth, followed by a very closely matched between 300 to 500,000 and also 500 to 1 million. There is a 35.6 and 35.9% growth in terms of number of transactions. And if you look at commercial, it's also a positive growth across all the different price points, where the highest number of growth in terms of transaction is below 300,000, where there is a 34.6% growth, followed by 300 to 500 and 500 to 1 million, whereby there is a 31.9% and 31.6% growth. Overall, if you can see for both residential and also commercial, there is growth in terms of transaction across all the different price points. Residential transaction volume from first half 2017 to first half 2020. So if you can see in terms of residential transaction, if you compare first half 2020 to first half 2021, it grew from 75,000 transactions to 92,000 transactions, which is equivalent to 22.2% growth year to year. Now, if you compare the last 5 years, first half of 2021, we are almost back to the transaction that we've seen between 2017 to 2019. In terms of residential transaction value from 2017 to 2021, if you compare year to year, it grew from 25.6 billion to 34.5 billion in first half of 2021, which is equivalent to 34.7% growth year to year. And if you compare the last 5 years in terms of total value transacted, we are almost back to the level of first half of 2019. Alright, if you can see the last 5 years, first half of 2021 was the second best. Alright, the best was in first half of 2019. Now, in terms of new launches and sales performance, green color bar is the unit launch, whereas the red line is the sales performance. There is 16,660 units launched in the first half of 2021, and the sales performance is at 24.7%. Although you can see that the number of units launched dropped, but in terms of the sales performance, there is a steady growth from 12.9% to 24.7% in first half of 2021. Residential market status 2019 to 2021 for first half. So if you can see in terms of overhang, in terms of unsold under construction and unsold not constructed, the last 5 years is almost flat. Residential overhang, unsold under construction and not constructed based on the major states in first half of 2021. So if you can see, the light color blue is the overhang. The light color blue is the overhang. So the most number of overhang residential units is in Johor, 6,661 units, followed by Penang at 5,000 units. Selangor and KL, there is 3,700 and 3,300 units respectively. Now, if you look at the unsold under construction, the most number of units is in Selangor, followed by Perak, 13,000 and 12,000 units respectively. Unsold not constructed, the most number of units is in KL at 4,400 units. Okay, so if you look at the unsold under construction and unsold not constructed, this is not too big of a concern. Now, the overhang issue is always due to the overhang which is unsold and completed. So the most number of units is in Johor, 6,661 units. Now, this graph shows the residential completion start and new plan supply from first half 2019 to first half of 2021. So if you compare second half of 2020 to first half of 2021 in terms of construction that began, it's almost flat. However, for those project which is under plan and completion, there is a drop. But if you compare first half of 2020 and first half of 2021, there is a growth across the completion start and new plan supply for residential unit.